appears to be holding, given how the previous ceasefires have gone, though everyone being very careful to characterize this as any kind of major success just yet.
Fragile, tenuous are words being used to describe it. The Israeli military says it has taken their ground forces out of Gaza and has finished dismantling those tunnels that were the source of so much contention. The government says if this ceasefire holds, it will indeed send a delegation to Cairo to work on a more permanent truce. In the meantime, hundreds of people in Gaza, hundreds of thousands of civilians are taking advantage of the relative peace, trying to get supplies, and then finding themselves returning to their bombed out homes to salvage what they can. But at least one resident tells CNN there's no home, no water, no power, and no peace for him.
We're going to get now to our Jake Tapper, anchor of The Lead, who was in Jerusalem. Jake, you know, we've been through this ceasefire thing before, but speaking to people on both sides of the border today, there does seem to be the sense that this one is different.
Well, I think one of the keys to this ceasefire being different is that the group Hamas, which was elected to run the government in Gaza, and also, of course, Israel and the United States and other countries consider to be a terrorist group, Hamas has signed in to this ceasefire. They have complained about other ceasefires that they were not brought into the process at all, whether it was the Egyptian proposed ceasefire of 3 weeks ago or the one proposed by other Palestinian leaders 1 week ago. So this one, there is buy-in. What the Israeli government says is this new ceasefire is the same one they agreed to 3 weeks ago that the Egyptians originally proposed, and so they're happy to do it, but all of the bloodshed of the last 3 weeks could have been prevented if Hamas had just signed off on that one 3 weeks ago. But in any case, that seems to be the key difference right now.
But also, Jake, it has to be pointed out that the IDF has also said that it has finished dismantling those tunnels, which was their operation. They said they weren't going to stop until those tunnels were destroyed, and they said they've done that now.
They do say that, although also there's a lot of tension among people who live near the border with Gaza. We were down there yesterday at one kibbutz, and people say even if they destroyed 95% of the tunnels, there's still 5% that we don't know about what's going to happen with that. But yes, you're right. The Israeli military is hanging their hat on the idea that 31 or 32 tunnels have been destroyed. As for the larger question about what else has been accomplished by all of this death and destruction, the Israeli government says, we'll see if this ceasefire holds. If the ceasefire holds, then this military campaign, perhaps in retrospect, was worth it. But if not, then the jury is still out.
And if this ceasefire holds, Israel does say it will send this delegation to Cairo to engage in discussions either with the Egyptian or with the Palestinian Authority. It'll be interesting to see how close they ever get to Hamas officials. Jake, I know you're going to have a lot more on this from Jerusalem. Jake Tapper will anchor The Lead from there today at 4 o'clock Eastern. Please stay with CNN all day for that.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. At this hour ahead, a Hamas spokesperson makes controversial comments claiming Jews use Christian blood to make matzah. We'll play that interview next. Let's go live now to our correspondent in Gaza, Imtiaz Tayyab. He joins us from Beit Hanun. Imtiaz, show us what's happening there.
Hi, Laura. That's right. I am in Beit Hanun. Beit Hanun, of course, is a border area. I'm just going to step out of the frame and show you where I am right now. In the distance, really what you see is Israel in the distance. That's the border. But what you don't see is what was here for the past several weeks, which was Israeli ground forces, tanks, soldiers, and other hardware as well. They seem to have gone mostly, but what they left behind is a scene of absolute destruction. I mean, as you can see, there's just rubble everywhere. This was an olive grove at one point. The olive grove is completely destroyed. There's rubble everywhere. And I'm just going to show you, just right over here, just going to get my cameraman to show you. You can see what caused part of this damage. This is an Israeli shell, a mortar shell. This caused perhaps some of the most significant damage to areas like this, and it really just illustrates just how we see these scenes of destruction. Hundreds, if not thousands of these have rained down on various neighborhoods right across the Gaza Strip, and indeed here in Beit Hanun.
Are you seeing people return to their damaged properties? What are they saying about it?
We met one man. He said this is now the third time in 5 years that his home was destroyed. He has nowhere to live. He has nowhere to go. A number of his family members have died, and he's in a very desperate situation. But he's in what's left of his house. He's salvaging whatever he can. And I'm just going to have my cameraman pan over my shoulder and show you this house here. This house was once home to a family of 8. They all died. There's none of them are left. In fact, we understand that their bodies are still beneath the rubble. And it just really underscores just the very dire situation many people here in Beit Hanun and indeed other areas right across the Gaza Strip are facing in the first few hours of this ceasefire. They've been given an opportunity to leave the schools that they've been sheltering in or in the various areas that they've been sheltering, but they're coming back again to scenes of utter destruction and are just trying to figure out what to do with their lives.
Yeah, where do they even start when it comes to rebuilding an area like that that's almost totally been obliterated?
That's a big challenge. In fact, another person that we were speaking to says what Israel needs to do, what Hamas needs to do, whatever happens in Cairo with these discussions, the siege needs to be lifted, that building supplies need to come in, cement needs to come in. The kind of goods that have not been allowed in need to come back to the Gaza Strip so that they can clear areas like this and rebuild. That people who've lost their homes, thousands of people who've lost their homes, will have somewhere to live eventually.